Thank you. Call the meeting to order. Moved by Councillor Ruff, seconded by Councillor Kotick. Resolved that the regular meeting commence at the hour of 7 p.m. And be it further resolved that council acknowledges that we are meeting in the Robinson Superior Treaty area on lands that have been traditionally used by several Indigenous nations. But we would like to pay special recognition to our closest Indigenous neighbors, the community of Big Digon Nishnabek and Pic-Mobert First Nations. We wish to recognize the long history of the First Nations and Métis people in our region specifically and show respect to them today. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Additions or deletions to the agenda? None. Disclosure of pecuniary interest or general nature thereof.
There is one disclosure of pecuniary interest and general nature thereof. Member of Council, Tony Lynn Ruff. Council meeting date, September 13th, 2023, in open session. I declare a pecuniary interest on the agenda item open session 1206 of the agenda for the above noted meeting for the following reason. I am a member of the Volunteer Firefighters Association.
Thank you. Approval of the agenda. Moved by Councillor Kotick, seconded by Councillor Ruff. Resolved that the agenda be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Delegations or presentations? None. Adoption of the minutes. Moved by Councillor Ruff, seconded by Councillor Keo. Resolved that the minutes of the special council meeting held July 20th, 2023 are adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Bunch of them are. Moved by Councillor Kotick, seconded by Councillor Ruff. Resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting held July 20th, 2023 are adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ruff, seconded by Councillor Kotick. Resolved that the minutes of the special council meeting held August 2nd, 2023 are adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Keo, seconded by Councillor Ruff. Resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting held August 9th, 2023 are adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ruff, seconded by Councillor Kotick. Resolved that the minutes of the special council meeting held August 10th, 2023 are adopted as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Okay, petitions, correspondence. Correspondence. Moved by Councillor Kotick, seconded by Councillor Ruff. Resolved that the correspondence item 08-01 to 08-02 be received and filed. All in favor? Carried, Kathy? Yeah. Carried. Okay. Courts and committees, none. Local update by the mayor. Sorry, I have no update. I've been on the road, so I will move it on to Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just an update regarding the AMO conference that the mayor, Councillor Keo and I attended August 20th to August 23rd in London, Ontario. So we did have a joint delegation with the town of Marathon and the Ministry of Energy to talk about lakeshore natural gas. And there's some work that we're going to have to do on that project, and we'll work with the 5 municipalities to, I think, tweak the project somewhat. There's a reluctance on the federal government's part to fund anything in the oil and gas sector, and so we're going to have to take a look at that project to see how we can make it more viable, and we do have some ideas about that. We received information on the province's Building Faster Fund, and there is correspondence in the agenda for tonight. But it's designed to create new housing, and the township will review the program once it's released to see if there are benefits to the township, because the province can fund the township to create more housing. So we're interested in that. And we're also happy to hear that funding from the province was increased for public health units, and that includes the Thunder Bay District Health Unit. And then finally, the province announced that funding would be provided to municipalities to assist in the consultation process of Crown land release. And municipalities will be able to evaluate all Crown land within its boundaries to determine if they are eligible to be sold for development to increase supply of housing and expand the property tax base. So that's good news for Manitowoc. We have a lot of Crown land within our boundaries, and we certainly are interested in developing that. And those are my updates.
Awesome, thank you very much. All good news. Okay, over to business. Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Kotick, resolved that council is in receipt of administration report FD monthly 2023-05 submitted by Don Kruger, Fire Chief, regarding the Fire Department monthly report. July 2023.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I have nothing to add to that report. That was actually meant to be on last month's council agenda. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but it was overlooked, so that's why it's with this month.
Okay, thank you. Okay. And further, the council received the Fire Chief's monthly report as presented. All in favor? Carried. Move on to the real one. Moved by Councillor Ruff, seconded by Councillor Hudson. Resolved that council is in receipt of administrative report FD monthly 2023-06 submitted by Don Kruger, Fire Chief, regarding the Fire Department monthly report, September 2023.
Thank you again, through you, Mr. Chair. I don't have anything to add to the report itself. Obviously, it was a busy month and a bit. But everything seems to be going pretty good, and we did have a couple of critical incident stress management meetings with the firefighters, both in-house and with the joint one with OPP after the one call. I'm happy to say that everything seems to be pretty good after that, but other than that, I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions?
Through the chair, just in regards to things like that, the firefighters have access to that anytime they need it.
Yes, so what we did was we did an in-house critical incident stress debriefing. We also participated in one with the OPP as well as the other fire departments that responded. But as far as what we provide for the firefighters, we also have through our insurance provider, we have the firefighters have access to both in-person and online counseling if they feel they need it. And they also have through the township's EAP as well.
Any other questions?
Through the chair, if I remember correctly, from the report there that your membership has been growing.
Yes, yes. So we are at, I'm actually at 30, even though technically I'm only supposed to have 29. But I'm at 30 members currently. I do have a couple of members that are on leaves of absence, and we're starting to put together a bit of a waiting list. I have 3 or 4 names on the waiting list right now as well. So, yes.
That's good to hear that people are wanting to step up and help out.
Yes, it makes my job much simpler.
Any other questions? Well, I mean, thank you for growing the department back up to full number of volunteers, and also thanks for starting the inspections of the fire of the wood stoves. I hear that's
yes.
well on its way.
Yes,
That's going well.
I've done probably half dozen already.
Oh.
And I have a bunch more scheduled for August month. So
Perfect.
yes, I guess a lot of people were just waiting for that.
Okay, that's great news. Thank you.
Thank you.
And further that council receive fire chief's monthly report as presented. All in favor? Carry. Moved by Councillor Kotick, seconded by Councillor Ruff, resolved that council is in receipt of administration report. CS 2023-02 submitted by Trish Boileau, Director of Community Services regarding Oasis Pool. Je suis un petit peu français.
Thank you. So hopefully you, the chair, you guys had a chance to read the report, so I'm ready to field any questions if you have any.
Through the chair, so they're estimating potentially total costs of $250,000 for the pool. And it says here that the liner may need repair or because of bubbling and whatnot. Is that still up in the air as to whether the liner has to be replaced? Because that's another huge additional cost, right?
It is, yeah. My understanding from that report is that they've identified some issues. They didn't really give us a timeline on when the liner would have to be replaced. But they definitely identified a few problem areas with it, and I think once they delve into it, we'll be able to get more of an understanding of how long this liner will last us. So I don't really know to could be a year or two, and it could last this 5 years. Through the chair. So this is just a preliminary, like, it's not preliminary, but it's an estimate until they start actually really opening up the deck to start fixing. Is that correct? Because once they get into things like that, you never know what you're gonna find. Plumbing, as we all know, once you touch one part of it, it tends to not go well. So is there bigger concerns there on bigger expenses on things you need at this point? Always potentially, once we get into digging up the deck and seeing what's some of the other pipes, we've identified the large 6-inch pipe, that has to be replaced going to the mechanical room already. And yeah, you're right, that is just one aspect of more potential underground issues once we start delving into it. So again, yes, unforeseen potential repairs that would have to be done once they delve into it, but we don't know yet right now. Through the chair, also, I guess that would apply to the concrete as well, because concrete work is very can be very touchy, like put in new concrete, old concrete, and it's exposed constantly to the weather and the chemicals in the water. So once they start repairing the small areas that they see need to be repaired, like feathering it in or however it gets done in concrete work to match it up, that potentially leads to some bigger issues as well, possibly. It could very well, yeah, absolutely.
It's sort of a bit of a guessing game, right? Like, I mean, they're able to identify what they're able to see and identify what.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Through the chair, the grants available for the remediation, like, is there a number on any of those? As to how big they can be, or is it just, are you have an idea of that, or?
Yes, please. I can answer that question. So we can apply for up to $500,000 and get 75% funding through the NHSC. But we have to have a report that validates that number. So this report validates that we can apply for up to 250,000. We can't increase the cost without verifying them, and we verify that through the engineer's report. So you're right that You know, if we apply for 200, a project that's 250,000, the municipal share is around 62,000, the province will fund the rest. But if we get into it and it's more expensive than that, we are on the hook for any remaining costs.
Thank you.
So for the chair to follow up to this, the money that would be applying for, there's no guarantee you will get that money, or is that funding typically? I don't know how that funding works, if it's like more often granted than some other funds are.
Of course, there's no guarantees, but we've been quite successful with grants and we've already run the project past the project officer who's confirmed that it's eligible. And having the engineers study and council support further enhances the province's desire to fund the project.
Okay, I mean, the way I see it is, that whole inspection was done by a professional company and they were very detailed. I like what I see in the report as far as, bringing the pool back to life. And I mean, if we put in for this grant and receive it, I see no reason why we can't get the pool back up and running. That was my thoughts.
Through the chair, I have to respectfully disagree. I fear, like, I think, yes, we could get the money and get it going, but my fear is with the aged infrastructure that is there. Once they start touching things, breaking up the concrete, working on pipes, it's going to turn into a much bigger project. And I, for one, am not going to say it costs another $200,000 of help. I think that's a lot of extra money to send into it. But I'm not, for one, myself comfortable.
Okay, well, as it stands right now, we're looking at 62,000
Yes.
to get the money. So,
But also through the chair, as was spoken, there are potential things that come up in 1 or 2 years. I believe in the report, there are things that were marked as immediate and would be repaired in 1 to 2 years. So we're investing this now, what's gonna look like in 2 years? Are we gonna be able to open the pool in 2 years? Like, what's the timelines? If we're investing this money now, it's hard to say what complications are gonna come up. That's kind of what I'm working about, is what it'll look like in 2 years.
I mean, that's totally unknown. All we can do is depend on the engineers that know their work. So.
Through the chair, the only thing I have to add is, yes, we don't know what it's gonna look like in 1 to 2 years, but what's it gonna look like if we don't do anything? We still have to deal with it. It can't just stay like that. That's all I have to add.
Through the chair, worst case scenario, if the pool is aborted, is anybody put together a remediation cost, like that's what it would cost to remediate and make it park or something different, or
Through the chair, is there a time, this is the CAO, is there a timeline in which we have to apply for the grant? That's immediate or for next year?
Through you, Mr. Chair, there is no timeline. The project is eligible through NOHFC's current programs. I don't anticipate they're going to change the programs within the next year. The other thing council may want to consider is deferring this decision and directing staff to get remediation costs, which may help with the decision.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, that, so that's what we can do. We can maybe get more information on, what it would cost to, shut her down completely or fix it. I think is kind of where we're at. So we know what it's gonna cost to fix it. That does not bring it brand new, but it repairs it for the time being.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just one more thought on that. If council did choose to close the pool and fill it in, that would not be eligible under that.
Sorry, one more question through the chair. If we were to say, fill it in and put a water park on top of it, could we then apply for grants?
Through you, Mr. Chair, the water park would likely be eligible, but not the remediation work to make the land ready.
Thank you.
And my guess on that would probably be because of the old stuff there, you wouldn't want a water park there anyway. You'd
Yeah,
want to
it
put
was
it
just-
somewhere else. but-
yeah.
Okay, so do we want to go ahead and vote on this now, or do we want to get more information and defer it to the next meeting?
I say we defer it to the next meeting.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay. Perfect. Is that in here?
Okay, it's not, so
Okay.
we can just, we just put deferred.
Yeah. That's it. Alrighty. Okay. Moved by Counselor Keel, seconded by Counselor Kotick, resolved that council is in receipt of administration report admin 2023-33 submitted by Jolene Keel, clerk, regarding the procedural bylaws, being a bylaw to establish rules of order and procedures from the council of the township of Manitowoc. First and second reading.
Thank you through the chair. This bylaw is being brought back to you for first and second reading, should council choose to do so. The last council meeting on August 9th, the bylaw was presented for information purposes. And because we are required to give a 2-week notice period, before passing the procedural bylaw, we brought it back for first and second reading. We would provide notice. And the intent is to bring it back at the end of the September 27th meeting, for third reading and enactment. So, I had highlighted a couple of changes that were made, just for clarity purposes, from the original one, August 9th. Those were highlighted in blue, and it was just more for clarification, in the parts that were added to the bylaw. So if council has any questions.
No questions on this? Okay, perfect. And further, that council approves the procedural bylaw, being a bylaw to establish rules of order and procedures for the council of the township of Manitowoc for the first and second reading. And further, that council directs staff to provide notice of passing for a 2-week period per our provision of the notice bylaw. And further, that council directs staff to bring back the procedural bylaw for the third reading and enactment at the council meeting date of September 27th, 2023. All in favor? Carried. Great. Wind is blowing around. Moved by Counselor Ruff, second by Counselor Kotick. Resolved that council is in receipt of administration report admin 2023-34 submitted by Jolene Keel, clerk, regarding the Property Standards Appeal Committee, being a bylaw to establish a Property Standards Appeal Committee.
Thank you through the chair. If council recalls, we had back in October passed a property standards bylaw, which also identified appointing a property standards committee. So under the building code, we're required to allow for owners that receive any type of order to have an appeal provision that they can come forward and ask for different identified points under the building code to look at either rescinding the order, modifying the order, or providing more time for the person for the owner to remediate the order. So further to that, council had also appointed 3 resident members to the Property Standards Appeal Committee. One of them being with us today, Jane Logan. And so this bylaw is going to provide a terms of reference for the committee. And so We are looking to do that right now because our municipal law enforcement department has been actively looking at enforcing the property standards bylaw, and so we need to be able to provide that appeal. So if council has any questions,
So this is not altering the committee at all. This is just putting procedure.
that's correct. So this is just to say that we will have in a committee and to give them a terms of reference that includes a mandate and a purpose, and for it's a guide for them to follow, and it gives them rules of procedure, which are standard across the board. All property standards appeals follow these rules of procedure. And then our committees are always passed by a resolution of council.
Okay. No other questions? Okay, and further that council approves the bylaw to establish a property standards appeal committee. All in favor? Carried. Next. Moved by Councillor Coddick, seconded by Councillor Hudson, resolved that council is in receipt of administration report admin 2023-35 submitted by Florence McLean, CAO, regarding bylaw 1995-47 financial assistance bylaw.
I can come and get you.
Oh, okay. That's right.
Thank you for you, Mr. Chair. As you recall, the firefighter association was a delegation to council at the July 20th regular meeting. And council deferred the information to staff. And then on August the 17th, staff met with members from the firefighters association to discuss the bylaw and what areas the township and specifically CAO could assist them. Attached to the report is a copy of the agenda and suggestions for financial assistance. And we asked that the representatives of the association take that information back to their larger group and let us know what their thoughts were. And then on August 30th, they provided a letter stating that they were not in agreement with the fundraising options. And so this report is to seek direction from council. First off, if council is intending to repeal bylaw 1995-47, which is the financial assistance bylaw, which states that the corporation does not provide financial assistance to any outside organization. So maybe we answer that question first, and then the other recommendations follow from there.
Okay, questions? Thoughts?
Through chair, I don't think we should repeal that. But it may possibly amended, or it's not an option.
Yeah, I think the bylaw is pretty straightforward. It's. If we're not repealing the bylaw, that means we do not donate, period. To any organizations, is how I read it, correct?
That's correct.
Through the chair, yeah, I'm in support of repealing it. To open up these opportunities for volunteer groups and things.
Yeah, I'd also support feeling that as well. And we have to go back to the changes at the very least. Like if we were to have something similar to what restrictions in place, then we're kind of having that hard line though is kind of. I don't think it works.
Okay, which is, I mean, how they felt in 1995, and we are the council of the day. Okay, no problem. Yeah, because I mean, if we repeal it, then we open it up to any or all other organizations that qualify for whatever stipulations that we put in place.
Yeah, through the chair, like I know, in a community like the animal shelter, I'm sure they need help, but it's always a struggle. Same as, trying to speak up and whatnot. So.
So these are, I think, these would be stipulations that the staff would put together a report for us to agree to or not. As per, you know, whatever, we'd have to add this to the budget.
Through the chair, so. A volunteer group would basically request assistance that they needed, so it's not always gonna be $2,500, it might be $500 or $1,000 or. And the second part of my question is hypothetically, if we had 100 volunteer groups in town, like, is there a cap limit overall from the pot annually that can be divvied up? Will that be the case? Or am I getting too far ahead of myself?
A little bit, through you, Mr. Chair. I have thought about what a donation program, financial donation program would look like. I have lived in other municipalities where they exist. It is an application to council. Council determines who gets the money based on during the budget process. Council determines what that pot of funding will be. It could be that in the first year, council sets aside $15,000. If it's oversubscribed and more groups come forward than what's eligible or what's allocated, then in the next year, council could increase that fund. But it's really going to be kind of wait and see who comes forward, what are they asking for, how much are they asking for? But at the end of the day, it's a decision of council.
And through the chair, so technically, if you don't repeal this bylaw right now, like, we can't help out the fire department at all.
Correct.
Well, that's what the bylaw states. The corporation shall provide no direct financial assistance to any petitioner.
Right, to the fire department or anybody else.
Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, I agree with everyone. I just misread it.
Okay.
So-
No problem.
Sorry, Denise Hannigan, but no, I misread it and I misunderstood what I was reading, and I agree, we should repeal it and work together with the CAO and staff to come up with a different solution.
Okay, well, it sounds like it's what we want, so. And further, that council intends to repeal bylaw 1995-47, being a financial assistance bylaw. That is the question. Right, or do we?
Yeah, and you
Or
can,
continue, okay. And further, that council directs staff to develop and bring back to council, bring back for council review at a later date, a new financial assistance bylaw that provides annual financial support to not-for-profit community groups and organizations whose mandate is to provide social, humanitarian, or recreational support to local residents. And further, that council directs staff to develop a financial assistance program geared to not-for-profit community groups and organizations to be designed to competitively apply for grants up to $2,500 each to assist local groups in providing improved programming and operations on an annual basis. Now, my question there is, should we put 2,500 or should we put an amount to be determined in the report? Is this?
I think that would be a
basically-
decision of council.
Yeah,
I would agree with your statement.
so we put an amount to be determined.
Yeah.
Everybody agrees on that,
Yeah.
so that whatever report staff comes back with, we will work with that. Okay, sounds good, so you can scratch that one.
Yeah.
That's whether it be more or less or. Whatever our fine staff will come up with. Okay, so all in favor? Carried. Next. Moved by Councillor Keo, second by Councillor Ruff. Whereas by the virtue of the Franco Ontario Day Act, which we legislated on April 26, 2010, it is declared that September 25th of each year be recognized as Franco Ontario Day through the province of Ontario. And whereas September 25th is the anniversary of the first raising of the Franco Ontario flag, and it represents over 400 years of French presence in Ontario. And whereas there are more than 745,000 Francophones in Ontario, the largest Francophone community outside of Quebec. And whereas Franco Ontario Day has become an annual occasion to celebrate the Francophone community. Now therefore, I, Jim Moffat, by virtue of the power vested in me as mayor of the Township of Manitowoc, do hereby proclaim September 25th of each year as Franco Ontario Day and join the Francophone community of Manitowoc in celebrating its exceptional contribution to Ontario's growth and prosperity. All in favor? Carried. So on September 25th, if anybody can attend, please attend.
10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 a.m. Thanks. Moved by Councillor Ruff, seconded by Councillor Kotick, being a bylaw to establish rules of order and procedures for the council of the Township of Manitowoc to be read a first and second time. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Hudson, seconded by Councillor Ruff, being a bylaw to establish a property standards appeal committee be read a first and second time. And therefore be read a third time, passed and numbered as bylaw number 2023-41. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Ruff, seconded by Councillor Kotick, whereas section 239(4) of the Municipal Act 2001 SO 2001 C25 provides that before holding a meeting or a part of a meeting that is to be closed to the public, in a municipality or local board or committee of either of them shall state by resolution the fact of holding a closed meeting and the general nature of the matter to be considered at the closed session. Now therefore be it resolved that the meeting is hereby closed to the public as the subject matter being discussed falls under the following sections. Sections 239(2)(c), a proposed or pending acquisition or disposition of land by the municipality or local board. Disposition of land. All in favor? Carried.
And then we'll be open. I'm just going to turn off the